I'm really happy to have all of you here with us. So welcome again to the last of the parallel sessions. My name is Marta Gierczyńska-Kolas. I am a PhD. I am head of the English department at the University of Słupsk in Poland, as I say. So I will be happy. Hi, great to have you here. I will be happy to moderate the session today. Our first speaker, George, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us what the presentation will be about?
Thank you. Good afternoon to all of you. I'm very glad that I'm participating to this interesting and amazing conference. At the moment, I'm a lecturer of religious studies in University College Logos in Tirana. But my topic, since I'm a lecturer, as I told you, of religious studies, will be considering a new methodology that I am working last 2 years using Prezi video application. So the title of my paper is the use of the Prezi video application in the teaching of the course of religious education in Greek public schools, synchronous and asynchronous education. This presentation seeks to highlight the convenience of using the Prezi video application in both close and distance learning. The application allows the recording of the teacher's record lecture with a parallel display of PowerPoint photos and slides without losing contact with the teacher. The paper will present the method I developed through this application in both distance and close teaching, while it will show the results of a survey from a questionnaire answered by students who participated in the educational process through this technique in the religious education course. The request for the more frequent use of new technologies in religious education and in education in general, but also the new conditions that arose with the pandemic in the field of education, gave the opportunity to develop new ideas and proposals for the use of technology and utilization to the maximum extent of the upgrading of the educational content and the facilitation of the students in the better understanding of the teaching material. At the beginning, let's see some basic things considering Prezi. What is Prezi? Prezi is a great service for captioning presentation beyond dots and photos, and it is a Zoom digital presentation editor. Unlike PowerPoint, Prezi is free and extremely portable. Because it is web-based, Prezi can be created and displayed on any computer with internet access. If the web is not available during your slideshow, you can get a downloadable version to appear anywhere offline. You don't need any other software, not even Flash. Prezi also performs quite well in creating a visual organizer. The user can import PowerPoint or Keynote presentations to extend the power of older linear presentations and download presentations to their computers or digital portable devices. Users can share their Prezi presentations on social media such as Facebook or Twitter, or on multiple blogs. Obtaining a Prezi account in this website, prezi.com, is very easy and offers the user the ability to create previews, presentations with Prezi present, and to create images, maps, reports, posters, infographics with Prezi design, and finally to create video presentations with Prezi video by including photos, presentations, and other files. Let's talk about a little bit about Prezi video applications. It is the basic part of this new technique, teaching technique. Prezi video application is a separate application that can be installed on the computer in Windows and iOS environments. Allows you to create the video presentations by simultaneously viewing the instructor talking on the computer camera and the PowerPoint or Keynote presentation or various images of our choice, or the collection offered by the program that alternate with the speaker's speech and communication. Let's see some possibilities. The program also offers the ability to record and save videos and at the same time post them either on our Prezi account or on social networks. Also, it is possible to connect the application with all modern distance learning or teleconferencing platforms such as WebEx, Zoom, MS Teams, Google Meet, Skype. During the pandemic, in public Greek schools, they used WebEx application. However, in the university, we used all the other kinds, mostly MS Teams as we use right now. So it was very useful during even live presentations. The third possibility offers the opportunity to appear on camera in addition to the instructor and his presentation, and to upgrade the teleconferencing service with the students. This is an example with Skype while I was using this application. I would like now to show you the basic stages on how I create my videos for this course. Stage 1 is the creation of a PowerPoint presentation. This presentation contains elements of the lesson and the analysis that we want to pass on to the students, either through a written explanation or through images that give the opportunity to develop critical thinking and dialogue. The second stage is create our Prezi presentation. First, after we open the application, we choose a template, and then we start introducing our slides. I have each part of this process, and then after introducing all the slides of the PowerPoint presentation, we can save the presentation, and it generates a file, a VLS file. Then we can start the recording. It has a countdown, as you can see in the first photo, and after finishing our record, I must say that you can pause, start again, whatever you want. And then you can save the record as a video, or you can upload it directly to your Prezi account. Then I was creating with Canva an introductory trailer for my video. The next process was to create a compilation of all videos and to make the final cuts and edition of the video in case sometimes you didn't like what you have said. And then after you record and you create your video, usually I was uploading to the YouTube. I have a YouTube channel where I sharing the files and the links to the students. Those are the main steps. Now let's talk about more how I worked for this new teaching technique in a school. Having as a compass the basic theoretical infrastructure of blended learning, I sought to develop a new method of teaching in the subject of religious education that will combine features of modern education with asynchronous. The reason was the pandemic situation with the continuous lockdowns and the need for teachers and students to wear high protection masks throughout the lesson in the classroom. Basic Interim Tools were the Prezi video, presented above, and the LMS system offered by the Ministry of Education of Greece through the website of eClass. After all, a learning management system is one of the key tools for developing blended learning. Basic technological tools were a tablet, a pocket projector supported by a tripod, and a pair of speakers for the best possible sound support. The videos were usually displayed on the classroom's whiteboard. The method started to be formed in September 2020 and has been applied since then and continues to be applied to high school students in 3 schools of Rhodes: First Lyceum of Rhodes, Third Lyceum of Rhodes, and First Gymnasium of Rhodes. As mentioned, during this time it took teachers and students to wear masks during the lessons. An idea was born to facilitate the lesson and develop an interactive process between teacher and students. As is well known, especially when we wear high protection masks, teaching and the development of dialogue are often difficult. It is necessary to speak in higher tones to be heard, because the mask often interferes with the acoustics, and in general, there is a difficulty in developing a continuous and satisfactory flow in explaining certain topics that are important for explaining the course material before developing a constructive dialogue with students. Also, by covering the face of both students and teachers, there is no such required personal contact and connection that admittedly helps to develop relationships within the classroom and the best possible flow of a lesson. All of these technical difficulties thus gave birth to an idea of combining the capabilities of Prezi video and the basic features of blended learning, which would facilitate both the flow and understanding of lessons within the classroom and the study at home for next day's lesson. Another need that led to the creation of the instructional videos was the fact that the textbooks currently used for the religious education course are transitional and include material in a scattered manner that requires further explanation and analysis for the teacher. It is clear that the textbooks are not very helpful, so it is necessary to create additional material by the teacher to explain in an understandable way the very interesting topics that develop in the books. The above remarks were made public to the students before the beginning of the lesson during the first meeting with each class at the beginning of the school year, where reference was made to the way the lesson was conducted in a different way and to the requirements of the teacher for how the class works during the application of this method. The course of the lesson was as follows. Short 5-minute introduction by the teacher on the new topic that would occupy the classroom in the religious education course. Then view the video with the explanation of the lesson by the teacher and the parallel presentation of the PowerPoint slides that have been included in the video and give specific information. A video usually lasts 10 to 20 minutes depending on the topic and content. Discussion on the presentation that was shown and further explanation, 15 to 20 minutes. Reference to the topics that students need to pay attention to and need to remember for the next lesson, as the content of the lesson was posted in the e-class, PowerPoint and video link via YouTube, and this lasts about 5 minutes. The purpose of projecting the video was to do more with the presentation of the teacher in the classroom, even in this virtual way without a mask, but also with the facilitation of the explanation of the lesson with a specific flow without interruptions, and with better articulation or sound stability due to the problems that the mask often causes in speech. Of course, this did not mean that in certain parts of the video there were no breaks from the teacher either to ask the students for their opinion on what they had just heard or to better clarify a new concept they had just heard or to write it down in the notebooks, something very important to them. Thus, in parallel with the projection, an interaction was gradually developed that facilitated step by step the faster and better understanding of the course material without requiring the traditional way of teaching. In addition, after completing the lesson, students will have the opportunity to watch the lesson again at home via computer, mobile phone or tablet, but also to read the short analysis from PowerPoint or to consult their book at the points where the analysis of the video indicated to them. The latter clearly responds to the application of blended learning, as it offers the student the opportunity to combine classroom work and then read and learn at home at his or her own pace, but possibly with the help of his or her guardian. Initially, students found it difficult to adapt to the new data introduced by this method in the course, but after about a month, all the classes adapted to the needs and requirements created. Especially the opportunity to repeat the lesson on their own via video at home was an easy way to prepare for the next lesson, as it gave them the opportunity to repeat the key and more difficult points as many times as the occasion required. In fact, when we needed to discuss in the next lesson what we have developed in the previous one, I found that each student expressed that what he had seen and heard in his own way, but with the right understanding, which allowed this effort to continue with adding new features each time, depending on the requirements or requests of the students. Now I would like to talk about the research of this teaching method. The main characteristics of the method of searching the method was action research and a questionnaire with open and closed questions. The method was applied, as I told you, from September 2020 in those schools, and the sample that was collected was 126 gymnasium students and 206 lyceum students. Let's see, first of all, the results in gymnasium. According to the students of the gymnasium, the method was evaluated with 2.6 out of 4, marginally in the acceptance of the method. Based on the statistical tables that we quote, we find that the majority consider the method quite good with 62% and very good with 4%, while 32% of the students were less satisfied. Regarding the issue of innovation and quality of the method, we find that 71% of students consider the method successful and innovative. In the comments, the majority of the students pointed out that the method was very helpful, but it was completely different from what they were used to. But they would like a combination. In fact, they would rather watch the videos at home for the best preparation and the lesson to be done with the traditional method. Of course, the last comment came from questionnaires that did not like the method very much, and it was a minority of 30%, because in the questionnaires that rated the method with 3 or 4 on average, so there were no negative comments or no comments at all. In addition, there was a comment on the desire to use the method in other humanity courses, and in particular the history course. About Lyceum, on the other hand, in Lyceum, students about the evaluation of the method had more encouraging results. According to the high school students, the method was evaluated with 3.5 out of 4, an overwhelming acceptance of the method. Based on the statistical tables that we quote, we find that 47% consider the method quite good and respectively 47% very good, a result that demonstrates the absolute success of the method in Lyceum students. Regarding the issue of innovation and quality of the method, we find that 84% of students consider the method successful and innovative, while only 16% did not. In the comments, the majority of students pointed out that the method was very helpful and made it easier for them to better understand the lesson in relation to either other courses or the religious education course in the previous school years, while many expressed their desire to apply this method in other courses of the curriculum. In the conclusions, we can say that this method as applied was at least more successful and effective with Lyceum students than gymnasium ones. Lyceum students, being older, were better prepared to meet such a new challenge and were in the mood to watch the video with greater enthusiasm and to intervene in many cases either by asking or immediately putting their opinion on what they were listening. On the other hand, in gymnasium, I noticed that after the initial excitement, the majority of students seemed to be tired from one point onwards and not to watch with the same rhythm and zeal. Gymnasium students had been shown to need shorter-term stimuli to engage in a particular participatory interaction that achieves immediate understanding and the development of a climate of enthusiasm and collaboration. About some good practice in order to finish, on a question, do you think that this method would be useful to apply in other subjects besides the subject of religious education? As you can see, Lyceum students think that this is a good idea, and as I mentioned, for gymnasium students, because the results are clearly divided, they mention just the course of history. And the other thing is that you can make an umbrella with social media and link the video to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, with stories, even to TikTok, and put a link in order to connect this video as I did, and it is a successful practice. I would like to thank you
That was a really interesting and beautiful presentation. So please tell me, guys, do you have any questions? Would you like to raise your hand, ask George any questions? So George, if you don't mind, I'll ask a question of my own.
Okay.
I was wondering, because you made this beautiful conclusion that the Lyceum students being older, they have the longer attention span, they are more interested. Do you think that it will grow with the higher education students, and it will diminish with primary school students as well?
Yes, I
Or
believe
this
so.
Lyceum was like the best age to use
Yes,
Prezi?
yes. I believe that educational videos are very useful in general. I, I realized through the courses that the students of gymnasium, when they were watching the video with their parents, they liked it very much, and they thought that it was very useful for them. So, because it was an action research process, we changed the mentality of courses in gymnasium with less video or some parts and other motivation stimuli in order to have a more productive day. Uh, on the other hand, in Lyceum, we realized that the students enjoyed the videos and they preferred from the traditional way doing something else. And I believe for, let's say, primary education, if you use videos with action figures or with a more interesting background, because Prezi video gives this opportunity also, and shorter videos, maybe by telling a story, I believe can be useful using them during the class for 5 minutes, let's say. For instance, let's see a story. In this way, you can pass. For high school, for higher education, I believe I realized via the courses that I had in the university that it is useful to use Prezi video on live sessions, meaning to talk and besides you to have a slide with some explanation, and sometimes I use some figures also, so it is very easier and more interesting to see the lecture and besides the figure in order to explain better. Of course, during lesson you can put in whole frame the slide, not only your face and the slide, but the whole slide, so it makes it more interesting in the presentation. But educational videos, I believe in higher education, we can still continue using them, especially on online programs. I guess another solution is if you can't have a live session, you can do, let's say, instead a sort of video in order to keep them accompanied, not to lose their time. But of course, nothing can replace the live session. Anyhow, we can use this method in many courses. I believe also and I agree with the comment of the students that will be very interesting to use it in other courses, especially in humanities, not only in religious education, and especially you can imagine with history, let's say, to put maps and other action things, maps that are moving and changing, will be very compelling and very interesting for the students, and I believe also for the instructor.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for that.